So live with me, Stacy Pereira, and in the next few minutes we're going to give you a lowdown on all the top stories that are making headlines from across the globe, insights from India, and also the latest trends, giving you that edge and keeping you informed ahead of the others. So let's get straight to it and bring you all that we're getting from our global dispatch. Well, mixed handover from Wall Street as the Dow Jones closes 200 points higher as major banks rallied on the back of Fed's stress test results. Now, there was also positive news coming in from the macro front where US GDP has been revised upwards. The S&P 500 added about 0.3%, but it was a tech-heavy Nasdaq composite that traded lower by 0.2%. Now, despite the solid start to 2023, some on Wall Street are bracing in for a potentially volatile second half. And US's gross domestic product or GDP has increased to about 2% on an annualized pace for January to March. This quarter, as compared to the previous estimates of 1.3%. Now, this was the third and final estimates for Q1 GDP, and the growth rate has come in at about 2.6% in the fourth quarter. So, this coming somewhere close to about 2%. Now, the stronger than expected growth can be attributed to the better consumer expenditure as well as exports that we've seen in this season, as well as this is much stronger than what was expected. Now, the revised print helps undercut that widespread expectation that US is heading towards a recession. Well, in separate data, we also had the initial jobless claims, which fell to about 239,000 for this week, well below estimates. And in Europe, where the equity markets have closed mixed, where investors are assessing the commentary that has been coming in from central bankers on the need to continue its fight against inflation. The pan-European stock 600 was marginally higher, you could say, with retail stocks that were adding about 1.8%, which really pushed that the gains on those indices. This also coming in the back of robust earnings that we saw from H&M. That counter, in fact, soared about 18% in trade. If you look at Britain's FTSE 100, that as well as Germany's DAX, both ended lower though, while it was France's CAC as well as Italy's MIB which really bucked the trend and also gained in trade. We also had news coming in from Sweden, where Swedish krona has fallen to an all-time low as compared to the euro after central banks there hiked interest rates by another 25 basis points. And if you look at indices in the Asia Pacific region, those ones are also trading in a mixed range. The Japanese Nikkei has seen a couple of its stocks falling, where investors are really digesting that Tokyo's core consumer price index, whereas South Korea's Kospi, that's the only one trading in the green right now. Korea as well as Japan are slated to discuss a currency swap deal in what could be their first bilateral finance meeting in 7 years. You also have the Hang Seng as well as the mainland Chinese indices, which are trading lower right now. Factory activity data in China is the one that has contracted for the third straight month, and which is why that is adding some bit of pressure to these Asian indices. And for other news, we also have a World Bank that has approved about $700 million for crisis-hit Sri Lanka. The island nation is suffering its worst economic crisis since last year. According to the press release by the World Bank, out of the $700 million, about $500 million will be assigned for budgetary support and $200 million for social security. Now, the Washington-based bank aims to restore economic and financial sector stability and also build a strong foundation for green, resilient and inclusive recovery. The World Bank's funding is the biggest financial relief that Sri Lanka has received since IMF's $3 billion bailout program, which came in March. And be it Star Wars or Marvel's Avengers, we all have seen time travel through science fiction. But did you know that South Korea turned back time for real? Well, South Koreans, they're the ones that count their age on the basis of their birth year and not the days. So if you're a child born in December, he or she is already 2 by the time it's January. But this new law will come in and will scrap that traditional age counting system that South Korea has been following, and this about the one where 1 year at the birth, also counting the time in the womb. Now, South Korea is the last of these South Asian countries that is using this method. China, Japan, as well as North Korea have all dropped this practice. So why has South Korea suddenly decided to change the system? Well, it is to bring their own country in line with the rest of the world. South Koreans have faced persistent confusion with age, especially during the COVID-19 vaccination, and the switch to age counting basis from the birth date took effect, in fact, on Wednesday. Let's get you all the highlights from back home from our India Insights. Well, it was quite a historic day for markets on Wednesday, where we saw the Nifty 50 touch new milestone of 19,000 levels. That also coming in on an F&O expiry day. Now, the BSE Sensex too touched that 64,000 mark for the first time intraday, rising somewhere around 499 odd points. Now, even the broader markets, those are the ones that lend support. We've also seen every sector participate in this rally, and if we have to look at how Indian markets have performed through the June series, well, markets have gained for the third consecutive series, and this for the first time since October 2021. We also saw the Nifty gaining more than 3%, Bank Nifty coming somewhere higher by about 1%, whereas the mid-cap index, that one rising about 8%. So the party really coming in for the broader markets. And we also had a market regulator, SEBI Board, which met on Wednesday and took some really important decisions. Well, we did see the board approving the reduction of time period for listing of shares from 3 days, which was earlier at 6 days. Now, this will be voluntarily applicable for IPOs that will open on or after 1st of September of 2023, and then will be made mandatory for those IPOs after 1st of December. It has also made amendments to the FPI regulations for ownership disclosure for 2 types of categories, and more importantly has also issued on the issue of total expense ratio, or TER, on mutual funds. That was discussed in depth, where Chairperson Madhvi Puri Buch has added that a new TR consultation paper will be drafted, taking into consideration the data that has been shared by the mutual fund industry. In fact, speaking on the questions raised regarding finfluencers, SEBI chairperson said that the market regulators was thinking is getting more crystallized around them towards these finfluencers, and if they are induced, if they are giving out induced kind of suggestions, that could also be considered as a fraud. Listen into what she had to say.
जो हमारे regulated entities हैं, जैसे कि एक्सचेंजेस, ब्रोकर्स, म्यूचुअल फंड्स वगैरह, वो किसी भी तरह से एडवर्टाइजिंग या इक्विटी या प्रॉफिट शेयरिंग या रेफरल फी वगैरह के माध्यम से अनरजिस्टर्ड एंटिटीज के साथ ताल्लुक नहीं रख पाएंगे. हमारा ये मानना है कि अगर आप हमारे यहाँ रेगुलेटेड एंटिटी हैं, तो आपके जो पार्टनर्स हैं और आपके जो ताल्लुकात हैं, वो भी रेगुलेटेड होने चाहिए.
Now, one stock that is going to be a buzz today is that of ICICI Bank as well as Securities, because they have announced the delisting of that brokering firm, becoming a wholly owned subsidiary of ICICI Bank. Now for every 100 equity shares of ICICI Securities, 67 equity shares of ICICI Bank will be allotted to the public shareholder. Now, the scheme is pending approval from the bank as well as the company shareholders and creditors. But as of March 2023, ICICI Bank held about 74.85% stake in ICICI Securities, and now the delisting process will perhaps be completed in another 12 to 15 months. Now, in the country's first, Chennai police has got its first drone police unit, and this project cost somewhere around 3.6 crore rupees and is the first of its kind across India, you could say. This unit will be comprised of total of 9 drones, we're given to understand, and all of which are equipped with artificial intelligence capabilities. Now, they can be operated at a distance of about 5 to 10 kilometers from where the drone police unit will be placed. Now, the drones are also equipped with automatic number plate registrations, and the drone police unit And this is something that could be quite interesting because aspartame, one of the most common artificial sweeteners used in soft drinks like Diet Coke, will soon be declared as a possible carcinogen for humans. Now, this is being acknowledged for the first time by the International Agency of Research on Cancer, or IARC, as well as the WHO. Now, the US Food and Drug Administration has approved aspartame for human consumption back in 1981, but ever since they have reviewed it about 5 times already. Now, over 90 nations, including India, have approved the use of aspartame. In fact, India's FSSAI has mandated that products containing aspartame should clearly mention the name of the sweetener on the product. Now, last year, in fact, an observational study conducted in France among a lakh of adults showed that people who consume larger amounts of artificial sweetener had a slightly higher risk of cancer. And after Virgin Galactic's unbelievable first commercial flight, the crew returns to Earth. The 3-man crew from Italy soared more than 50 miles or 80 kilometers above the New Mexico desert. The entire trip took about an hour and a half to complete after the successful flight. In fact, the company said that it will take paying customers to the edge of outer space, and about 800 tickets have already been sold for $200,000 and $450,000 each. Now, the company plans to eventually build a large enough fleet to accommodate about 400 flights annually. Let's listen into what the engineers who put this together had to say.
Was unbelievable, the acceleration, the climb, and suddenly the microgravity. And I was concentrated with my test with my knee board, but I had the opportunity to look outside and the view. It was amazing, fantastic.
So after Elon Musk as well as Jeff Bezos, now Richard Branson also gets to brag about getting to space. Well, let's also get you up to speed with all the cues you should be watching out for today. Well, we do have the government that has come in and postponed the implementation of this new TCS, or tax collected at source rates, to 1st of October. Remember, this was supposed to get into place on 1st of July, but now that has been postponed for another 3 months, so coming in only on October 1st. But it is the last day for you to be linking your PAN and Aadhaar, so that is something that you haven't done yet. Today is the deadline. Also, boards of HDFC as well as HDFC Bank will be meeting today to clear and approve that merger process. It is expected to be completed on the 1st of July. So that is something we're going to be watching out for, those counters, especially after those board meet. We also have in the primary markets PKH Ventures, which will IPO today. That subscription opens today. And we did have news during this holiday that Chandrayaan 3 will be launched and scheduled for launch on July 13th at 2:30 p.m. according to officials from ISRO. So that is all that you can be looking out for. But with that, it's a wrap, and hope this dose of Newspresso was useful and informative and gives you that kick start to your day. Yes, it's a Friday, so there is a lot to look forward to, but don't forget to come back on Monday, same place, same time, for your fresh shot of Newspresso. From everyone putting this together, thanks so much for tuning in.